slightly mad. I'm going slightly mad.
Hello, Aloysius. Hello, everybody. I'm back, and I'm back with a writing update. Really, we've got more updates? Yes, more updates. So, before we get to that, remember, if you want to support us, there is our shop where we have books and writing services. There is also our Redbubble shop where we have over 100 designs. So if you want to support us that way, you can do it there. If you want to support us and you don't want to spend any money, we're totally cool with that. Yes. Like, subscribe, comment, and share our videos. So, what have we been doing? Well, I can tell you we are absolutely on track with the book. We are somewhere between a third and a quarter to go. That's a lot. Yeah, I know. I think the last time I talked about this, we were just over half. Now, well on the downward slope, which is really, really good. Yes. So what that means is I have two kinds of writing to do. Yes. I have the imaginative stuff. Yes. And then I have the research-based stuff. Oh, yeah. So I have a deadline to get this, what I'm working on currently, done to be able to get it to work for the deadline for when I want it released. However, we have research stuff. Now, the imaginative stuff, yes, that's actually going quite well. We wrote 3,000 words in 2 days. How'd you do that? Well, it had all been worked out, like literally worked out. And I got that, that's the last little bit. And once I'd got that, it was, I can actually write these 3 whole scenes. It was really a case of trying to work out what one particular character was doing in each of those circumstances, or 2 characters in each of those circumstances, like minor characters, but I needed to know where they'd be on the chessboard, as it were. Yes. And so once I'd worked that out, those 3 scenes, done, easy. So that was good. Yes, that is good. So that's sort of the imaginative side of things. The other side of things is the bit that takes time. And you're still buying books. I'm still buying books. How much did you spend? We did our taxes. Now, I normally spend about $1,500 on books, because I just buy books, and we buy books for the channel and things like that. So normally I'm about that. Well, to get this book, like to this time round, $2,000 more. About $1,000 of it was all those comedic books, which I hadn't shown you everything. No. But I spent about $1,000, not quite $1,000, but close to, on all the comedic stuff. Yes, that's some of it. Yeah, the rest of it was academic textbooks. Academic books. They're not exactly textbooks, but they're academic texts, and those are not cheap. No, those are not cheap. Now, I was thinking about this. The reason I sort of thought, let's have a bit of a talk about this, is because I put this on Threads. I did my taxes, and that's what I spent on books for the book that I'm writing. Yes, and interestingly, some people seem to think that was kind of weird. Like, one person said to me, why don't you use libraries? And I have explained here why I don't use libraries, because A, I'm doing a lot of very specialized things. B, I live an hour away from or more, once you factor in travel time, public transport travel time, I might add, from the University of Western Sydney. I live over 2 hours from the State Library, and more than that, what I'm looking at is so incredibly specialised that I know the university does not have these books, and there is a very good chance that the State Library does not have these books. And I need to use these books in a way that getting them dredged up from the bowels of the State Library on order, which I don't have time to do anyway because day job, I can't sit in the State Library. You don't work well in library. No, I don't work well in public places. No. You set up so that you could work in the living room, and you still haven't done that. Yeah, I know. I write in my office. I write at my big desk like that. It just is. I am a disturbingly particular creature of habit. I am Walter Shandy. That's terrible. Yes, I have Saturn in Virgo. I am Walter Shandy. Yes. So there's that. So I said that, and I also said, because I like to give flippant remarks, as we said, we were talking about the Odyssey and the fact that I like to give snarky remarks because I have this huge encyclopedic classical knowledge. Yes. I also said, I'm also really selfish and don't like to share my books, which I don't. No, I'm allowed to be selfish, and money is not the issue. Genuinely, it's not I wasn't saying that in terms of money. It's like, if I didn't have the money, I wouldn't spend it. So, we don't eat out. I don't like eating, and I don't like working in public. Okay? I told you, I'm Walter Shandy. I'm deeply introverted, and I have a routine. I am Walter Shandy. I can drive people crazy with how sedate my lifestyle is. You really are very dull. Yes, I really am very dull. But, so that was one response, which strangely enough, by saying I'm really selfish and I don't like to share my books, they deleted their comment, which I thought was like, wow. You thought you were going to shame me, and I'm like, no, I'm completely shameless. I do not share books. No. Another person, and this was one that really made me think, because I will go through a whole load of these books that I've been looking at as we get closer to publication date, because I will actually need to give you some indication of what I've been working on. It's still too far out at the moment for me to really talk about it. But once it's at the printers, then I can start, doing that. So we will get there. You will actually find out what this monstrous hoard of books I have bought is. Yes. Okay. So bear with. Another person made a comment about why are you buying a whole load of, like, what are you buying that costs X amount of dollars? And it's like textbooks. And then they asked, why are you buying textbooks? And it's like, because that's where the information is. The information isn't online. It's not online. No, it's not online. It's in academic textbooks. And the thing about academic textbooks is, I have a Bachelor of Arts and a Master's of Writing, which means I spent for 5 years nearly 5 years without thinking about the teaching side of my teaching degree. I've spent 5 years, 3 years of a bachelor's degree and 2 years of a master, 2 years to get the master's. I should have done the master's across 3, but I just crammed everything in 2. So that's why it's 5 years for what should be a 6 years worth of degree. So I condensed it. Okay, because I was doing it by correspondence, so I just sort of condensed everything together because I didn't have travel time. I didn't have to do a whole load of whatever, so I just crammed it all together. Yeah, it was an insane thing to do. Yes, it was completely insane. It accounts for partly for my current situation. I was mad. But anyway, I spent 5 years learning how to read particular types of academic texts. I can't read science texts. I can't read a science text. It's not part of my training, but I can read history books and I can read literary things. Now, that stuff, you can't ask AI this stuff because AI can't read these things in the way that a person with training can read them. This stuff is not popular history. No, it's not popular history because that doesn't require the reading. And partly the reason why I have gone into things in this level of detail is the popular conception is insufficient. It's insufficient. It is insufficient. And because it is insufficient, I had to go to the heavy duty stuff. And the heavy duty stuff costs a lot of money. Okay? And so that person was then like really mystified about why are you needing to do that much research? And I thought, oh, God, I bothered to explain myself to an idiot. Because I am a firm believer in the Dr. Johnson quote. The Dr. Johnson quote that that a person must turn over half a library to produce a single book. What does that mean? It was something that, to be honest, when I was a less experienced writer, before I had actually produced a publishable book, I did not understand. You did not understand. I did not understand. Now, as a far more experienced writer, I understand Dr. Johnson's quotes. And we love Dr. Johnson here. We do. We love Dr. Johnson. But what he means is that the greater you are as a reader, the greater depth that you read in, the greater you will be, the easier writing will be. Now, turning over half a library, even if you have to purchase it in order to turn it over, is a necessity. Yes? Yes. What about imagination? What about imagination? You say, what about imagination? Because everyone is like, oh, I just imagine it. I do not have enough imagination for that. And moreover, when you rely on your imagination to cover, you end up with your arse out because you can't cover it. You end up, when people talk about, oh, but you just imagine it, it's like, yeah, and then you spend all this time going and thinking, oh, my character changed hair color halfway through, or there's this massive plot hole somewhere that I really don't know what to do with. Now, when I'm doing this, because I'm doing such minute research, the minute research goes into the book, but you won't see it. You won't see it, but what you will see is a world. You will see a world, a cohesive world, as much as possible if I've done it correctly. But what it will also do is It means that when I'm quibbling over something, I am quibbling over very fine gradients of, this is the actual history, and we know this, but I want to do this with it. But I don't think this, I think I'm now quibbling over stuff that scholars would understand, not the general public. And because I want my book read by the general public, I can get away with that. But I know that, okay, technically, not 100%. And what that means is that is where I'm able to use my discernment there. But I'm not imagining things. When you're imagining things, you end up sort of discovering somebody like me will get really annoyed with your book because you imagined it. And I know the real history. You're talking about that plague bit in Hamlet, aren't you? Yes, I'm talking about the plague bit in Hamlet. The plague from the Egypt and getting all the way across to England and then being transported. And it's like, that's not how that works. Ask me how I know. How do you know? Because I spent a lot of time watching and reading and finding out about how that moves and how a virus moves from an insect to a mammal population. Did you? Yes. It was not easy because science is not my forte, but I managed to find enough to be able to understand how this actually freaking works. So no, I'm not a great believer in imagination, because I can tell a story and use the actual information that is available. Yes, as I said, I am Walter Shandy. I have Saturn in Virgo. I am Walter Shandy. I am also a Gemini rising. So I am incredibly curious, and a Gemini rising will keep hunting things out until they find what they want. Gemini even more so, but they have to deal with a committee. You don't have to deal... No, there aren't 64 of... No, not when you're a rising. You just get a lot of... There are a couple of them, but not the full committee. No. Yeah, and the thugs are behind it because, yeah, I know. Anyway. So, the other thing that I was thinking about with this, because it just made me think about this, is I was reflecting on this, having got so much further into the book and sort of being able to say, oh, I only need X number of words to get to where I want to be at the end, is I was thinking about what I thought this book was going to be when I thought of it, and how I very naively thought, I already have a good grounding in the background of this. I can do this easily without having too much bother. Yeah, $3,600 worth of books later. I know. But I actually envisaged this as a straight novel, and I spent quite a bit of time trying to find the right format for it. I have found the right format for it. It's a bit late to change it now. Oh, it's definitely a bit late to change it now. But it does not. It is not quite what I would have envisaged. The characters are not what I envisaged. The plot is, there are elements that I originally had. These are all ideas from well before I was writing. But this is why this book has had a very long gestation. The actual writing has been reasonable. I mean, those first chapters took ages. Those first chapters took ages. But once we got enough research and got into it, then it galloped along. Yeah, actually it's been pretty good the past 12 months. past 12 months, especially the past 6, especially the past 6 or 8 since we're in August, they have really galloped along. Yes. So I went from crawling along and maybe writing 500 words at a sitting to like, I wrote 2 days in a row. I wrote 1,000 words on the first day, and then the second day I had 2 writing sessions and wrote 2,000 words. So we just really pushed that quite a way. And I'm not nearly as hyper as I was the last time I had a really big writing session, because we were a bit manic. So that was good because they were all just planned. It was literally just write it out. So that was nice. Yes, that was nice. So anyway, the book is moving along. We're as Janice said, and this is all my fault, isn't it? Yes, because you're the writer. Yes, as Janice said, we're going to be a little bit weird with our reading, because I realized that on top of the research, I need to read some of the stuff that my main character would read, and that's not the sorts of things that work for several of us. So, as I said, is probably going to be Her Infernal Majesty a lot, or Caesar, or perhaps myself, probably Her Infernal Majesty and Caesar, because we're reading a lot of plays. We are having to read things that the main character would read so that we can know what he would know to be able to produce what he needs to produce. So it feels really meta at this point. So I know what he needs to read, but I need to read them. We talk about Seneca. Oh, yes. That's one of the things we encountered this week. Seneca. We had Seneca. He's been on the list for a while, but oh boy, Her Infernal Majesty's going to have fun with Seneca. Really different to the Greeks. So different to the Greeks. Yeah, even though they're Greek stories. Seneca. You thought Titus was bad. I'm just going to leave it at that, and I'll leave it to Her Infernal Majesty. So, we may have... I think Otterline has something she'd like to do, because we just bought a book and would like to actually read that, but can't guarantee anything. Otherwise, we'll have Her Infernal Majesty. That should be interesting. Yes, it's always interesting when she turns up. But we'll see how we go. We'll try. We'll see how we do with that. But the research stuff does take precedent because we have a deadline. So, yes. Anyway, that's our update. I will be back another time with another update. So, that should be interesting, hopefully. And otherwise, Her Infernal Majesty or Caesar will probably be along, unless, of course, Otterline gets that book read quick, smart, but we might actually just keep reading the Richard Burton Elizabeth Taylor biography. That sounds interesting. Yeah, it is interesting, but it's kind of just thick and we're just dipping in and out of it. Oh, so we're not reading it in any coherent, like consistent manner. It's just sort of lighter reading. Janice may bring it eventually. Okay. All right. Anyway, that's us for the week. Sorry about this being a bit of a lightweight video. I did have another really bad migraine last week and have just been feeling a bit so that was another reason that meant that I wasn't really reading anything to produce something, because I'm recording this on a Monday, which I don't normally do. So yeah, I'm trying very hard not to skip weeks, but I don't know what is quite going to happen if I keep getting these. That's really not good. I'm not happy. Not happy that they've started getting triggered again. Anyway, we will be back another time. Others will be back next week, and we will see you when we're back. De Volker Finger, ich bin ja Jesus. Bye-bye. If you would like to support this channel, come across to the Black Cockie Press website, www.blackcockiepress.com.au, where you will find books and other writing services to help with your writing.